Hi everyone, welcome back to Fashion Upward. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining. And if you are coming back, thank you so much for being here. I am Teresa, and I want to just jump straight into the topic. So single women versus, not even versus, but single women and married women in the workplace. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because teaching is my second career. And I spent a lot of years in the fashion retail industry. And this was so interesting to me because in the fashion retail industry, not that people aren't married and you don't have, single and married. Right. I'm back. I had to stop the video because my thoughts were all over the place. It's like 7:23 in the morning, so I need to this has been on my mind to shoot this content, and I think I was just trying to rush through it, but I'm going to take my time. I have a dentist appointment today, so this morning, so I'm just using this little bit of a window that I have to record this video. So please bear with me. It takes me a little minute to get my thoughts and stuff together. But I have my notes and stuff here so that I can stay on track because I have a tendency to veer off. So like I was saying, it's not like, when you're working in the fashion retail industry that you don't hear about married women, but I think it's just not as a focus. Right? Their people have their own lives and they have their families, but it's not that focus. But I'm finding out working, as a teacher, that is constantly something that is brought up. People are married, their families, and me being a single woman over 40, still in my 40s, but over 40, right? And, people, they ask, I have some colleagues that ask, they don't pry too much, but they are wondering, that's interesting. Why are you still single? You never married, you never had children. And I briefly explain to them, but I always make a joke, like, do you have time in a glass of wine? Because I have some stories to tell, but I think in this current season, my path is just, it looks different. But it does sting a little bit when the conversations come up and people are talking about their children and talking about, their experience with the birth. And I'm always just kind of sitting there like, because I that's not my path currently. So I really don't have anything to add, or I don't have that experience, so I can't speak from it. But I do try to chime in, like with the, the stories that I've heard from family members, even the stories with my mom, and like that. But underneath the surface, what's going on in my mind? And I set myself on a timer. Sorry about that. That scared me. But what goes in my mind is like, wow, gosh, it's just kind of like, I think it's more in my face now and more of a reality. And I'm like, I have those desires, but it's just not the path that I'm currently on. Or maybe I am on that path, but it just hasn't unfolded for me like it has for your life. So I have stories, to share, but not really a lot to add in that aspect of being a married, a married woman and have children. And it is all around me. Like all my colleagues are married. They either have grown children or bringing up children currently, or, I don't think anybody's pregnant, but the point that I'm trying to make is that it's always all around me, so it's not, it's hard to turn away from or turn a blind eye to when it's constantly being presented, as such. So So the other day I was at work and the conversation, it was centered around husband and kids, right? So it was that sting. I felt that sting because, like I was talking about, my path is currently different. So not that one is better than the other. I think single women have their challenges and married women have their challenges as well. And sometimes I feel like each woman wants to trade places. A married woman has been in a single place before. But the thing about it is a single woman hasn't been in the married place before. Or maybe you can equate it to, because I've been in long-term relationships where they lasted like 11 years, like some even like more than that. And it's kind of embarrassing, but not so much because I started these, relationships when I was younger, like in my 20s. And so it just didn't manifest into marriage. And so, and that's okay. And currently, I'm not actively dating, but if it came about and someone approached me, I'd be more than open to dating, but it's not something I'm seeking out because I'm working on different areas of my life. Now, do people want to hear that and you have a long dissertation about why you were single, this and that? No, because I really think at the end of the day, it's really none of anyone's business, and no one really knows, the real reason or the core. Maybe you can unpack some of those things with a therapist, not with a colleague, right? Of why you are single and why maybe you think you may be single or still be in that season or the cycle. It seems like it just is going. But hopefully you're following me and I didn't lose anyone, right? So I want to hear from you. I want to know, what are your thoughts? Or what side are you on? What side are you on? Where are you at in your path? Are you single? Are you married? Are you dealing with this in the workplace? Are you stay-at-home mom? Or are you single and work from home? So I really want to dive deeper in this conversation with you all, and I want to know, what is it that you think? Like, I know that I'm not in this by myself, and I know that I'm not alone, right? So I do really want to hear from you. So I do want to hear and know where you are. And I think it will be a very interesting conversation because I do, feel isolated. It's just like an isolating feeling when people are talking, yes, and my husband, and I don't, like when you're single, if you're single, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you're married or newly married, and we're just coming out of a single season, like, what I'm talking about, right? So when married women are like, yes, and my husband, that sounds great, and I pray that they are happily married. I know that all marriages and single women, they go through their issues, right, within the marriage, but a good, solid marriage where it's healthy, like, that's great. And, I love to hear these conversations, but when you're single, you have that desire, it does sting. It does sting. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, the video is getting kind of long, so, one more thing that I wanted to add, because I was just looking through, it doesn't really matter about the location. Well, it kind of does because I'm in a small town, right? But maybe in a big city, I feel like with teaching and stuff, when you're like in that career, it's kind of the norm, right? To be married and have children, and it's considered or deemed abnormal when you're not, and people start asking, wondering, and making their own, opinions of why they think you are, still single or whatever. But I feel like here in the USA is the norm. You're working as a teacher to be married and have children. I don't know. I want to hear from y'all. I've rambled and I've talked enough. So I'm going to end the video here. So thank you so much for watching all the way through. Hopefully you stay with me. Please add to the conversation in the comment section. All right, y'all. Take care. Until next time, take it easy. Peace.